when you have a team that talks to only people who can buy, usually their close rate increases 80 to 100%. And then the back end, you're able to feed that data back into your marketing and help train the pixel so that you're getting a 28% on average reduction over the course of 90 to 120 days in your lead cost.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. Today's guest is a fellow participant in a high-level mastermind with none other than myself. He is a brilliant thought leader who truly understands the power of how to generate unbelievable amounts of visibility and leads. I am speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Hunter Hensley. Welcome to the show, Hunter.
Wow, thank you for that introduction, Nikki. That was great.
My pleasure, brother. So, Hunter, the folks who listen to the Thought Leader Revolution, they are society's great heroes. They are the entrepreneurs, the men and the women with the courage to dare to dream. They come here to this show, not for me because I'm here every week. They're here for you. They want to learn from you. But before they can open themselves up to you, they got to get to know you. Tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Hunter Hensley?
Wow. So much. I started off, my whole life I was an entrepreneur. I saw my dad running a mortgage department at a credit union nationwide. And then I saw him build a nonprofit housing counseling agency. And I knew that for me, the things in life that I did a little bit differently than most people showed me that I thought differently. And that showed me that 9 to 5s weren't going to cut it. I really wanted to have a massive impact on the world in some way, shape, or form. I didn't know what it was. And I saw a advertisement for a sales role for the online high ticket space after going through some multi-level marketing companies, back in the day. And I really wanted to get serious about my career when I was, 22, 23 years old. And so I went through some sales training and ended up being on a sales team and then ran a couple of sales teams. And then I met my partner, my current business partner, when I was running a sales team for an organization, and he had a financing company for that same organization. And so he and I both lived in Arizona at the time. We became really, really good friends before anything. And then he wanted a sales rep. And because of who I knew he was, I wanted to work with him. So I left running a sales team, being the VP of sales for an organization, and just went back to sales rep only. But because I look at things differently, I saw that as my own business as well. And so I did things that an owner would do in the way that I operated, the way that I acted, the way that I spoke about it, the way that I invested money into it. I was like, hey, here's an idea. If it doesn't work, I'll pay for it. If it works, the business pays for it. And that put me in a position to be able to actually become equal, equitable partners in that company. And then through that journey, SimpleCheck was developed as a need for the dental space, and we started to roll it out. But that relationship with Grant has been one of the most impactful on my life to date, because he was able to show me the love of Jesus. And that's something that I think that a lot of people overlook is spirituality and faith in business. And he was the person that brought me back to the Bible throughout my life. I grew up Christian, but I didn't grow up. Once I left my home, I also left any faith or belief. And he was able to kind of help just by who he was. We didn't even talk about the Bible much, but by who he was, brought me back into it to show me that there was something different. And now where we're at now is with SimpleCheck, it's growing very rapidly, and we're helping a lot of people. But the main core focus of that is really to help those in need. We give at least 10% of our entire revenue back. We're actually vetting out a organization that helps prevent human trafficking. I can't talk about their name. They have zero online presence because they actually go in and disrupt live operations inside and pull humans out of being trafficked and then build orphanages. So they want it very unknown online. But I was blessed enough to be connected through some people that you and I both know inside of this group to be able to really impact the world. And that's why SimpleCheck is kind of been built to allow us to impact a lot of people's lives. And that's our driving factor.
I'd like you to talk about the importance of your faith as a Christian into how it informs how you live your life and how you run your business, please.
Yeah. A big part is Proverbs. Proverbs, and this is for anybody who sees this, who, whether you're a Christian, whether you believe in the Bible, whether you've ever read it or not, Proverbs doesn't really go super in depth on be a Christian, believe this way, believe that way. It goes in depth on this is how you live your life to be successful and to have wisdom. And so Proverbs is something that I love, the entire book of Proverbs, because it teaches you how to be a human being that can discern good things from bad things, or noise from, actionable items. And had I not had any faith at all, I wouldn't have made that correlation. And just faith in general, to understand that there is a bigger purpose on this earth than make a bunch of money and be able to do a bunch of cool things. But our purpose on this earth is genuinely to become as much like Jesus as we can, to where we're always helping people. We love people. Yeah, there's situations where, there's a story in the Bible where Jesus goes into a temple and turns over money changers' tables, and he basically runs them all out. But what most people miss in that verse is that he braided a whip. And if you know anything about whip braiding or braiding leather, working with leather, it would have taken him at least a few hours. So it's not like he got angry, went in, and then just turned things over out of anger and without thought or thinking. It was a premeditated, this is happening, I need to fix it, sits for hours, if not days, creates this whip, and then uses that to drive these people. And so it shows the faith in reading the Bible. It's just so many lessons on how to live, right? If there's a situation, don't react to it, think it through. And if the right reaction is anger and attack, then that's okay. But don't do it out of a reaction to a situation, right? And so that's the biggest thing for me that really pushes in the faith side of stuff and being a Christian business owner, is understanding that we can learn so much of how to operate in our personal lives that will correlate to our business lives by having that faith in our Creator and understanding who He is. Because when you understand who He is, you start to understand how you're made. And when you understand how you're made, you understand who you are. And when you understand who you are, you can do anything if it aligns with who you are.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's important to have, and my father was a committed Christian, and the older I got, the more I realized that's the best way to live life for me. When someone lives their life from faith, from values, from morals, they have the type of life that they can be proud of.
Yep.
They have a life that they're fulfilled by. And it's a beautiful thing whenever someone comes on the show and talks about their faith in their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So kudos, man.
Thank you. And I want to add to this, because Grant told me something in passing. This was before I decided to pick up the Bible again at all. And he had mentioned something called Pascal's dilemma. Have you heard of Pascal's dilemma?
No. What is it?
So it's essentially it's almost like if you can imagine a chart. And there's, if I believe, if I'm a believer or if I'm not a believer, and if Christianity is true or if it's not, and then what's the outcome of it, right? And so if you believe in God, and so you're a believer, and it's true, best possible case scenario, you go to heaven, you have eternal life, everything's great. If you believe and it's not true, what's the best possible outcome? Well, nothing happens. You lived your life in a great way. You were an amazing human being. You helped a lot of people. and then you die and there's nothing else. Okay, cool. And then we look at the other side of not being a believer. Well, not being a believer, if it's true, best possible outcome, well, you're going to be spending eternity in hell. And if it's not true, best possible outcome, also nothing happens. And so for me, understanding that literally took me from like, I don't care to I need to understand, because either nothing happens or I'm either going to spend eternity in hell or eternity in heaven. And okay, cool. If nothing happens, great, nothing happens, but let's figure out and mitigate losses. And through that process of like logically going through it for me, it became emotional as I started to study the Bible and understand the truth of who Jesus was, who God is, and like reading about the history and actually studying it. And it went from this, as a kid, this emotional thing. My parents were Christian, so I was going to be Christian and I felt things, to then a actual conscious, logical decision based on how I think. And then the feelings followed. And I think that's really important for people who think like me, very logical, very analytical, like understanding that it was a choice first, feelings came later, and now there's a great relationship that I have with the Father. That was literally like such a big thing for me to go through and to know. So if anybody listening wonders what that is, it's called Pascal's Dilemma. It's something awesome to study.
Coolio. I like it. So, Hunter, what made you decide to focus on helping dentists?
So we had a
strange, right? Like you don't strike. You're not a dentist. Your parents aren't dentists. So what's up with that?
So I had a financing company in the coaching space, coaching, education, agency, etc. And it had some of the best terms out there. It was one of the only ones out there at the time. And we were doing really, really well. Profit margins were astronomical for us, like doing well. And then we lost that lender. And I had other relationships with other lenders. We were essentially like a super broker. We were funding $4 or $5 million a month through our different lending connections because of the consultation that we were doing for these organizations. And the lenders would pay us very well for it. Then we lost a lender. That lender had between 60 and 70% of our revenue in the coaching space. Wow. But they had a huge division in the dental space. They were trying to really push hard in the dental. They viewed it as less risky. And so we decided right there, like, hey, the coaching space is great. We already have some reoccurring revenue from the other connections that we have. Let's focus on dental because there's this amazing lender. And so they had the best product, meaning terms for the practice and for the patient. Best product that was in the lending space. And so it was just an easy transition to push there. It wasn't out of like, oh, we want to be a part of that world. It was, we just lost 70% of our revenue as a business and we need to make more money. So where are we going to go? And it just popped right there. It was in our face. So we said, okay, cool, let's do it.
So it was a business opportunity that kind of fell into your lap, as it were. Got it. And why have you stuck with it?
Well, we kind of haven't. So the lending stuff was awesome until we realized when we're dealing with a front office manager who has worked with other lending solutions for the last 15 years, while the business owner, the practice owner, really wants to save money and wants to offer really good solutions, the office manager doesn't care. She is used to, or he is used to, the same flow for the last 10, 15 years of here's the different lenders that I offer to, and then we're good. So what we had to do was we had to think outside the box, and we developed a tool called SimpleCheck to be able to tell that practice based on when the patient sits in the chair, hey, here's what their credit profile looks like. We run a soft credit report. And here's the best lenders to use based on their financial situation. And we were usually, depending on their profile, in the top 3 until it got underneath the 650 credit score. And then we were down at the bottom because we couldn't lend to that. That technology that we built, that is what we do now. And that started to take off in the dental space. And I'm a big believer in honesty and transparency and integrity. So when I felt like, hey, this could be viewed as, just like a way for us to make money, people could get the wrong idea, like, oh, it's biased. You're always putting your financing company on the front page because you just want to make money. I decided then that we were just going to stop funding altogether in that space. And now I still have relationships and I'll still refer people to different lenders, and I'm happy to do so. And that's not what we do anymore. There's no financing in any space anymore that we do, because I don't want anybody to ever feel like there's some sort of bias there. So now it's 100% focused on the software and the tech and the data that we provide. That's what kind of caught on a lot faster than any sort of lending product that we had.
So who is the tech and the software for? What's the itch you scratch with it?
So now the tech and the software is for mostly coaches, consultants, service-based businesses, really anybody that sells something. And the reason it's anybody that sells something is we can connect on any part of a funnel now. We only need a name, phone number, and email address to be able to actually run a soft credit report, personalize that lead's experience so they get to see the pages that they can actually qualify for. So a sales team on a sales call doesn't take an hour and then Bob really wants to buy this program that's going to change his life and literally cannot afford it. Instead, we see that ahead of time. We don't put them on the calendar with that sales rep. Instead, we get them over to the free YouTube channel or the free school group or et cetera, whatever group, to where they're still able to get help, but they don't get that feeling of disappointment of, I literally can't do this. I'm not a good person. I can't afford things, right? And so anybody that sells anything, and like there's cool results, when you have a team that talks to only people who can buy, usually their close rate increases 80 to 100%. And then the back end, you're able to kind of feed that data back into your marketing and help train the pixel so that you're getting a 28% on average reduction over the course of 90 to 120 days in your lead cost, which is great. But for me, the big part is on the consumer side. I've been there where I've had terrible credit and no money. And I've had sales calls with people where I'm like, I really want that. And then they say, oh, it's $10,000. And now I am embarrassed because I know that I can't afford it, right? I don't want anybody's leads to go through that feeling. I just want them to be able to get the help that they're looking for. So any business that sells anything, we can help. The main focus is, though, if you have some sort of sales appointment that you take or sales call, maybe you're door knocking and you're, something along those lines, that's the businesses that we really help.
Okay. So what's the itch you're scratching for them?
Information on leads. So a lot of people will have a type form that'll ask financial qualifying questions. And unfortunately, you can never know for a fact if they're lying or not. So you're relying on the honesty of people, where people unfortunately aren't super honest. So the itch we're scratching is the ability to actually see into a lead's financial profile to be able to make decisions.
That's the solution. What's the itch? What's the pain? Why do they need you?
Oh, gotcha. Typically people no show, or they are facing a lot of broke leads, people that they can't sell because they don't have money, right? There's some sort of sales flow problem and or marketing problem. The marketing doesn't get them qualified leads, or the sales team say everybody they talk to is unqualified. That's what we fix by showing the real data.
Unqualified leads is the biggest issue.
Unqualified leads, yes.
And what you do is you help get those off of salespeople's calendars.
We short term help show the business and the sales team who's qualified and who's not. And then over the course of backfeeding the pixel and stuff, yes, then those leads start to come off of the calendar altogether, and they don't even get fed the ads from the first place.
Okay, so this basically saves them on stupid ad spend.
Yes.
Got it. Wow. Cool. I can see that could be really valuable to some folks. So if someone's interested in finding out more about SimpleCheck and you guys and how you help, what's the best way?
I mean, you can always send me a text. Like I'm a very relationship driven person. 602-620-6023 is my cell. You can also look at simplecheck.com. If If you're a larger organization, what I found is typically you don't want to change much about your funnel. The good news is we can directly API on the back end and nothing really changes front end. So your lead doesn't see anything different. If you're an organization that is open to it and wants an easier install that doesn't take my developers getting on the phone and doing it for you, simplecheck.com/smartform, which is the new tech that we have that's rolled out. It's embed a code that we have all the tech on the back end of like a actual lead capture form that you would put on your funnel or a calendar booking form that you put on your funnel. But either way, it's just simplecheck.com is going to be the best way outside of texting me.
Awesome. We'll make sure we put that in the show notes. So Hunter, we like to end each episode by asking you, our guest expert, what are your top 3 expert action steps? These are your best pieces of success advice in bullet point form to help my listener take their success to the next level. What say you?
Success advice. Number 1, understand yourself. And I say this like, if somebody were to ask you the question of who are you, and you don't know exactly who you are, the gifts that you have and how you use them, you need to learn that, because then you can really show up and help people in a better way. Number 2, revert back to number 1. Number 2 is going to be focus on outside of the business and your family and the important things, because your business will always, always, always be there. And the third thing gets often overlooked, and it's legal. I'm a nerd when it comes to anything legal. So our organization gets sent a contract. I read through it 5 or 6 times to make sure that anything that we sign is good. And I make sure that our company stays compliant with all up-to-date current federal regulations and laws, FCRA, GFPD, all of that. The issue that a lot of businesses that I see in the online space have is they don't even know it, but they're doing things that are illegal that could get them sued, that the FTC could crack down really, really hard. And the biggest one would be adverse action. And so understanding the regulations for your industry, the regulations across the board, that's huge. And once you do, now you also know the loopholes that you can go through to make sure that you're never touched and can have more success because you can be different than other organizations.
Amen. No, those are good expert action steps. You should understand yourself. You should have a life outside of business, and you should nerd out on legal, because if you don't, you can get in a lot of trouble. Hunter Hensley, man, great to have you here. Listener, Hunter's the real deal. If you enjoyed this conversation, go check out his website at simplecheck.com. He's left his cell number for you. Write it down, send him a text. And if you heard something in this episode that made a difference for you, give us a like, give us a rating, give us a review. Hunter, give us a like, give us a rating, give us a review as well. That helps with the show algorithm. We ask all our guests and our listeners to do that. And if you got a friend who needs the message, make sure you share it with them. Until next time, goodbye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.